Hey folks, so we'll start Farm Tour Tuesday in a spot we don't normally start it. So we are in the garage because it's time for piglet pickups. So he's gonna poop. And this is why I catch them an hour early. So I like to try to catch my piglets at least an hour before people get here. That way, there's no stress, there's no running around. I'm not rushing to try to catch piglets while someone is standing there waiting for their piglets. I can literally, like that last piglet there. So the first piglet took like 30 seconds because no one had been fed yet. So they're all just milling around, nibbling on my boots, and I just grabbed the piglet I needed and walked out. Obviously, everybody's a little bit more alert on the next piglet. So I brought in a bucket of feed, dumped it there, and then I'll stand there and wait forever. That took at least 5 minutes to catch the second one because I'm not going to be in a rush. I don't want to stress the piglets out. I don't want to run them all around. Like, my goal is to just take my time and not stress anyone out. So second piglet, once he was ready, and for whatever reason, so this is the other reason, right? So beyond I don't want to stress anyone out, so I take my time to grab them. They always poop in my crate. Like, I swear, the moment you catch them and get them in a crate, within 10 minutes, they start to poop. So because I get a lot of people that they bring dog crates. Of course, bringing a dog crate is perfect. That's exactly what you want to bring. But these poor folks will bring their dog crates to put in their car. And if you've never rode with a piglet that has pooped in your car, you don't know the horror that is. I can just tell you that the smell builds and it's bad. And a lot of people are coming from hours away. So what I like to do is a nice, hey, here, let me help you out, is I catch them that hour before. And this goes for if I'm delivering them too. I want to catch them an hour before. Then they get calmed down in the crate. They get used to it. But then they poop in my crate. So then we'll transfer them from my crate to your crate. And then you don't have the smell of pig poop in your car because they've already pooped as much as, I can possibly get them to poop in an hour. Because, like I said, for whatever reason, being in a crate stimulates pooping. So we've got this first set today. And then I've got another, I think it's a boar goes home on Thursday. And then 2 breeder gilts Saturday. And then 4 feeders on Monday, Tuesday. I think it's next Tuesday. I need to double check my calendar. It's either next Monday or next Tuesday because I double booked something on myself for Monday and Tuesday and had to move something around. Oh, my vet appointment for Maryland CVIs is on Monday. No. Deliver. Okay, you guys get to listen to me work out my schedule. I'm so sorry. CVI appointment is on Tuesday. Piglet delivery is on Monday. So yeah, that's how that's going. And we'll be taking those up to Colonial Gardens in Kansas City. So then all that leaves left is 1 barrow that I'm going to hold on to for somebody until after the 1st of June. Then they'll get them and 1 breeder gilt that's left. So if you're interested in a breeder gilt, let me know. She has taken 11 of her 12 to farrowing. This last gilt's a pretty decent gilt. So once it's just her and the last little barrow, they'll get weaned up by themselves. So I'll post some, if she's not already claimed by then, I'll post some videos. She was the last one on my wait list, after working through my wait list. I had a lot of people drop off my wait list this year, either through health issues, family issues, or just any number of things financially and family related. So that was interesting to see. So I am through my wait list and I have that 1 gilt and 2 litters left to work through. So I need to hop on. I know tons of folks that filled out my waitlist form on our website. I just have not hopped on there and looked at that. So really I need to do that, and that will fill up my waitlist a little bit if those folks are still interested, because you never know. People fill that stuff out and then they tell me, oh, never mind, we weren't actually interested. So that's really why I don't hop on it right away when I see one, is because at least 50% of them just tell me, oh, we weren't actually interested. It's kind of like Facebook Marketplace when people hit the button that says, is this still available? Except it takes way more effort. So I don't know why people do that. But it is what it is. It has just kind of trained me to not be as, someone filled out the form. All right. I need to go feed everybody else. And then I got to clean in the shop some. And I'm going to burn a bunch of biochar stuff. We already had to, well, let's just get over there. Actually, I got distracted. I was going to grab my buckets to get feed. Looks like we've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. All 11 are out. She actually had 12, but it looked like 1 had gotten squished against the wall of her shelter. I had noticed it was kind of bleeding out of one of its eyes, and it didn't make it more than an hour after that. So sad, but that's just kind of how that goes with big litters. Beyond that, she's doing pretty good with the other 12. Obviously, like they're out doing an explore. And they're like a day and a half, 2 days old now. So I don't know. It's a pretty group in this litter. I don't have my gender counts on them because after after she'd had that 12th one, I was like, I don't know if the 12th one was a boy or a girl. The one that got squished was a girl. So I was like, I could throw me off one or the other. So I just need to spend some time sitting in here and watching them and taking down waddles and genders. So yeah, thought you guys would enjoy that. So everybody has had their babies now, right? Like there is that. If you guys have seen all the shorts, you know that has happened. So Oatmeal had hers, and then Dottie just had hers day before yesterday. Yeah, day before yesterday. So she'd had it a day or so after Oatmeal. So actually Oatmeal's maybe 3 days old now. I don't remember what day it was. I obviously it's in my notes and it's in all my photos from when I got them, but I don't remember off the top of my head. All right, over here with Dottie and her piglets. So she has spun her whole A-frame around. It was right here, a nice angle with bedding. And it rained last night a bunch, and I guess she decided to stand up. You can see it's made some puddles there, and obviously it's made this area right in and out where she's going muddy and where she's pushed around the bedding, so she'll need more bedding. And this spun around, and I'm gonna so I'll spin it around, put it back where it was, and I'm gonna put the stakes with the straps over it to hold it in place, because that's what Oatmeal did this last year, right? And so now, of course, this looks terrible in there, but listen, as soon as I finish feeding everyone else, we're gonna work on slowly spinning and getting it strapped down and throwing in more bedding for her and the piglets. All 7 are doing good. They're all at the back now because they were up here at the front with me, and then I shifted funny to stand up when I realized I wasn't filming, so I was just sitting here talking to myself. So now they're all 7 hiding in the back. Spooked them. But if you saw the short, you saw that she'd had them in that bale, and it was really, really hot. So she was laying in the wallow. They had come over and were trying to join her as soon as she was done farrowing. Not good. They're trying to swim. So moved them all over here to this, where it was spun around and had plenty of bedding, except for right in the middle, which I think she had pulled and taken to the round bale to make a nest. Little runt that I didn't think was doing real great, he did not make it. He was really skinny too. Like there was the reason why I was like, I don't think he's gonna make it. It wasn't just because I was like, oh, he's a runt, he's not gonna make it. I don't say, like, we bottle feed a decent number of babies over the years. We actually have gotten pretty lucky and haven't really had to do any in the last couple of years-ish. Yeah, so he was just really weirdly skinny, and it had looked like there was probably something else wrong with him, not just that he was a runt. So he didn't wind up making it more than a couple hours after I had gotten them all moved over and filmed. So yeah, that's just kind of how it goes, right? But yeah, I think that describes it on her. All the rest of the babies are nice, happy, healthy. They were all running around out here yesterday. I didn't have my phone on me, or I'd have got a video to take of that. I did get a video peeking in through the vents in the back. But all right, let's move on to everybody else. That way I can get back over here and get this spun around and rebedded down for them so they're not just in the mud. All right, got these goobers moved from the paddock there. Give you a look at what that looks like, them having just come off of it. So of course, at the gate where it floods, muddy, but stuff really is starting to fill back. You see, like this is what I was telling you about last week. This is just solid built up hay, not mud. And it is starting to come up through with grass, thankfully. A few other things, of course, but I don't mind. Nothing is a weed. And then got their 2 willows starting to come in. But beyond, and this is still all hay. This is still all where we put those bales. This is what all of this is. But the whole rest of it is grass and buttercup and some dock. For some reason, they seem to really like the dock, or at least the feeders really do. These guys have ate some of it, but obviously not all of it. But yeah, still lots and lots of greenery. But it was only 4 pigs for 1 week, so obviously they weren't going to go crazy. It's one of our apples. one of the, and like I was saying, so this was the goal, right? You can barely see the wood now. You have to be like right up on it to tell, and that's the goal, is that with the trees stopping it, and hopefully the boards there, that will help allow them, the ones that didn't make it, to recover. But then all this grass and stuff will also act as a filter and slow it down, because this one is the one that feeds from all of this, runs down, and then runs through and circles around before running off the property. So this one is technically, this would follow the Keyline philosophy of trapping water as high in the landscape as possible for at least this drainage. Our pond obviously is the highest. But if we can trap more of the water here, then throughout the season as it runs down, it cuts across our entire property in a giant circle before finally leaving. So this is really where we can do some of the best mitigation and water catching. And I mean, it catches, so like everything from the road there, the gravel, and that paddock, like a lot of that slopes this way. But yeah, you can see tons and tons. I'm really happy that some of my chestnuts made it. None of these are the grafts that made it, of course. These are all the, because this was the graft. These are all just the root bases that we wound up letting come back because it was better than nothing when the grafts died. This one is a graft. All right, so the graft is way down there. And this section died off that first year, but it has sent up some nice new growth. So fingers crossed those make it. There's only like 7 chestnuts, I think, out of the like 100 something we planted that have survived, between 2 hard seasons of frost, late frosts, and then on top of that, drought last year really did in a bunch of the seedling ones we put in all over the place. But yeah, so you can see there's tons and tons of forage left where they came from. And now it'll get, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks of rest. If I'm doing that math right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and then it'll get grazed by the feeders. So hopefully that gives everything there time enough to come up. These ones are all doing good. Like I said, their vet appointment for their CVI is Tuesday for Payday and Biscuit. Yeah, it's just Payday and Biscuit, because then it's Dottie, Dose, and oatmeal. So out here in the field, he'll only have to do, he'll only have to do those 2. That'd be nice. They'll all need ear tagged for their out-of-state tags, because I think, well, maybe not. Dottie may still have hers, but I think she's the only one who still has their out-of-state tag. Ear tags get ripped off all the time. And then you can see that, like, if you'd watched the prior Farm Show Tuesday, you know that there was pigs in here before with hemlock, and it doesn't really cause that big of an issue. The pigs don't eat it. They ate in and around it. And I saw some stems that were plucked up. So they had grabbed some, and it did not do anything. Now that it is getting ready to go to flower, I will probably come in here with the weed eater and knock it all down. And then that'll have, used up as much energy from the roots as possible, and then knock it down and I'll have to start over. This chestnut is doing really good. That's at least 7 foot tall, but it's not my graft. Here's the graft. This one comes off way down at the bottom. So that's a root stock that has come up in the last 2 years. I think it's the only one that made it in this paddock, because there was 1, 2, 3, 4 in this paddock. Yeah. Oh, well. Lots of other trees making it that are still nice productive things. Some apples in here, swamp white oak, some sawtooths in this paddock. So, and then we'll put in a bunch more. Just every year planting more and more trees. And then you can see it is starting to come up a little better. But we've got grass actually working its way in here now. This whole area, and I always say this most Farm Show Tuesdays that we're in this paddock, but this whole area from that mulberry over to this mulberry, following these trees and where it's short here, all the way around was solid hemlock when we bought the property, just big, tall hemlock. So we are finally getting it grass to slowly grow in, mostly just lots of hay. Grass. Okay, let's move on to do probably the boys. All right, so with the storm that happened last night, the boars destroyed their shelter. And this is we spent this morning dragging a new one over, so don't worry that they don't have a shelter. They have a new shelter. It's right there. But yeah, so really it's just like a combination of this shelter's old. Well, I guess not crazy old, 5 years old. I checked my schedules, which was Instagram. This is why I take pictures of everything that I can and try to post them. That's my best way of record keeping. And really, to be honest, where it broke the worst was at the top and at the bottom. And I think the bottom, some of that is just kind of unavoidable from like straw being up against it. But the top, this one side is fine. The other side wasn't. I think if you were to put a ridge cap on them, they would last longer, but this is kind of how everybody in the IPP community builds them. It lasted 5 years, right? So like $100 shelter lasted 5 years. I'm not that upset. It was frustrating to have to lug that one from the field all the way out here, but it's here. So yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm gonna haul it out today, and I just finished emptying the biochar kiln, the bathtub, and I'm probably going to do another. I've got a bunch of other scrap pieces that just have funny nails and things like that they're not worth trying to pull out a bunch of broken screws and dulling my saw blades with, trying to reuse the lumber. So I'm going to make a batch of biochar from that stuff. Anytime I make biochar that has potential nails or screws or anything like that, or paint, it goes in the front yard in the wildlife area, where I never worry about the pigs eating anything toxic. Like, it's not a big deal because it's just wildflowers and stuff. So beyond that, I've still not set an appointment for him. So yeah, I need to do that. And these two guys are still just doing their thing. They're still getting a little bit of time in the backyard every day to graze, helping me keep down the ragweed. They're not doing a perfect job at it though, so we've reached the point where we've had to start weed eating some to try to keep it under control. But yeah, really not a whole lot with them. All right, let's do the feeder pigs. I just got them fed and moved. I thought I'd walk you through their area so you can see the area right up around the gate is horrible. Right, this is just a goopy, horrible mess. And then you get immediately outside of that area, right out of where the bales of hay were and everything, and where they stand at the gate to scream at me. And we're good. There's some destruction over here, but I watched them doing this. They were flopping in it. So it wasn't like they were even trying to get any food. They were just trying to literally find a comfy spot to lay yesterday, I guess. I don't really understand the reasoning why, because they have the pond. But yeah, you can still see how tall all of this is, how much grass is still out here. Absolutely insane. This is 11 pigs. All right. Oh, actually, we'll pause. Oh, look at this. So, dung pat. See all the little holes in the Griffin? Hi, Griffin. If I had a stick, well, maybe we'll find a stick. All those holes are from dung beetles breaking the dung pat apart. Super awesome. I was out here the other day with a stick digging through them. That's the only reason I know that, like, that's exactly what that is, because they're those little elongated ones. They're burrowers, so there are some dwellers, and they're the rounder ones that are in there that are really tiny. But the ones that are causing all those holes, they're pulling it down into these little burrows that they have under the ground. So burying the manure, and also burying any pest eggs that would be in there, any parasite eggs. So yeah, I really can't, like, right, 11 pigs for 1 week, half-acre paddock, and we're good. I could not imagine doing this with really any other breed of pig, because we've done it with other breeds of pigs and it was no bueno. So I'm not saying you can't do it, but I mean, I really feel like that shows itself, right? That's pretty awesome. And then they're gonna be over in this one because we've got haze today and then like nothing for the next 10 days. So they'll be in this half-acre paddock with the pond. And this week, one of them goes. That'll be Friday morning. One of them will go for our pig roast. And then I really would like to move the other 5 bigger ones ASAP. So if you are nearby and interested in a whole or half hog, hit me up. But I think that's it, guys. I think we got everyone. I think so. So, all right, there is this week's Farm Tour Tuesday. I'm so glad we finally got some rain. Like, that has just made me so much happier. And you can already see what 1 week of rain did to several of those spots. Like, paddocks are just filling back up with grass. All the bare spots are starting to sprout up with stuff. And with stuff that a lot of people would call weeds. But honestly, I really appreciate that, right? Like, that stuff pulls up different minerals and different minerals from the soil profile than just grass does. And each individual different species of grass does too. So, well, not all of them are great for grazing. All of them are good for building up a healthy soil. So we want to create as diverse of a plant grouping out in the field as we can. And that means weeds, that means broadleaves, right? That aren't always just clover. Because we're not going to get as much clover as, like, everybody's like, well, plant my field to clover. Well, like, if your field is fertile, you're not really going to have clover. Okay, you're going to have grass. Because what clovers do, right, is they come into areas that are low in nitrogen because then they can outcompete the grasses because they make their own nitrogen. Well, if you're running at a decent stocking density and you're building fertility, you've got plenty of nitrogen. You're not going to grow that much clover because the clover's not really going to outcompete the grass and the other broadleaves that use that nitrogen. So they're using the excess nitrogen in your soil and growing real big and strong, and the clovers just can't compete with that. So, yeah. We get clover. It does come up. There's some white clover right there. But you can see it doesn't really compete as well with the other stuff. Now later in the summer, once things kind of start drying out a little bit, it may, because then a lot of that nitrogen will have been used up by all the grass trying to make this first big run into seed heads. But now this also means all this grass is throwing seed heads all over the ground. So then they'll sprout and fill in the bare spaces and refill the seed bank. So yeah. All right, I think that's it. I think you guys have heard me ramble long enough. I hope you guys got some stuff that was worthwhile out of this one. A little bit longer than last week's, not as rushed because I'm not getting hailed on. Yeah, you guys have thank you to our Patreon supporters, Raymond and Ashley Hunter. I really can't tell you guys how, I know every week I'm always like gushing and oohing and awing over that, but it really is super appreciated. And I really do hope some other folks hop on and join us soon. Raymond and Ashley, I don't know if we had talked about this on our last phone call or not, but I really hope you guys make it up to the show in Mexico. That'd be really nice to meet you guys in person. So, Mexico, Missouri. Not all the way down to Mexico. I know that did confuse a few folks who were like, oh, I can't make it all the way to Mexico. Don't worry, none of us are shipping pigs across borders to go to a pig show. No, Mexico, Missouri is the IPPBA show in June. The 16th through the 18th. I'm there on the 15th to help set up, I think. So, but yeah, if you guys want to check out that Patreon, go ahead and hop on it's down in the description down below. But if you made it to the end of our videos, that in and of itself is awesome. Just watching the full length of the video adds to our watch hours, which is super, super helpful. Hitting that like button is super, super helpful. Hitting that share button, even if you don't actually share it, just copying the link, that's also super helpful because then the algorithm thinks people really, really like it, which, let's face it, if you're doing that much to help me, then you probably do like the content. So, all right, you guys have a great week.